Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin now.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
Hello there, and welcome to Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and I am so happy to be here with you today. I have a great show planned for you. Today, you are going to meet two very special people, Maxewll Ivey and Alex Okoroji, and I'm just so excited for you to meet them. But first, I want to talk to you about something that's very important to me, as you know, the United Nations Global Goals. Today, our show is, as usual, aligned with the global goals, and no exception. We are going to talk about ending poverty. The United Nations plans to end poverty by 2030. And today I want to tell you a story about poverty, and about the poverty that not only exists physically, but in our spirit as well. And I'm going to tell you this really fantastic story about Chauncey and Matt. On June 9th, 2016, my birthday, it was a fortuitous day. Matt White is a 30-year-old man. He was shopping inside his local grocery store when he was approached by a 16-year-old boy named Chauncey Jones Black. Chauncey offered to carry Matt's groceries to his car if Matt would buy him some sugar donuts. Now, as Matt engaged Chauncey in conversation, he found out that Chauncey and his mom were really struggling financially. Chauncey's mom was disabled, and they live in a one-room apartment that only has a couch and a few lamps. There's no TV, no radio, no CD player, and no bed. Chauncey sleeps on the floor. He hasn't had new clothes in over 3 years. He does some handyman jobs around, like cutting grass and weeding people's gardens, washing cars, anything that he can do for a little bit of cash to help mom pay rent. Now, through it all, he has maintained a grade A average. Chauncey's very entrepreneurial in his head, and Matt found out that he is pretty enterprising as well. He designed a go-kart in his head that could hold a pressure washer. And since Chauncey likes to wash cars, he thought that this would help him go door to door to make money. So as Matt walked through the store with Chauncey, he learned more about his life, and you know, he was moved to buy him a few more groceries and more than just the donuts. And right there and then he decided that he was going to start a GoFundMe page for Chauncey. He wanted to raise $250 to help him buy a push lawnmower. He also asked Chauncey if he would go to church with him. And Chauncey agreed to do this. Well, he started the GoFundMe page on June the 13th. Today is June the 30th. And that goal, the original goal of buying a lawnmower, has changed because now Chauncey's story has touched so many people that they have raised over $329,000, the new goal of $330,000, and they believe now, Matt believes that he can buy Chauncey and his mom a new home, put some furniture in it, and his mom likes music, so even a CD player. And, you know, to me, I'm sure that Chauncey never in his wildest dreams ever even thought that anything like this could happen. And Matt, what can we say about this angel Matt? 30 years old, and such an open, giving heart. You know, it just blows my mind. So I want everyone just to think about poverty, how we can overcome it in our mind, our spirit, and in the physical sense. Just love one another. It's really just that simple. Don't you think? Well, Max Ivey, he's here today. He's also known as the Blind Blogger, and he's a motivational author and blogger who started his own No Excuse movement, and he helps those who are seeking to help transform themselves and their lives. And in his first book, Leading You Out of the Darkness into Light, A Blind Man's Inspirational Guide to Success, Matt shares the 11 steps of his success as a blind entrepreneur and the lessons that he has learned from his journey. And today, we're going to speak about that, but we're also going to talk to him about his latest book. It's not the cookie, it's the bag. And it's about his weight loss journey starting at over 500 pounds to losing 250 pounds, half of himself, and bringing the 6'4" gentleman down to 250 pounds. Absolutely amazing. Matt is an inspirational and motivational personal coach. He runs a business. He sells carnival equipment and amusement park rides. He is a native Texan, and he loves to sing in the shower. Apparently, he hits notes that he can only do there. And he has a crazy dog, a gray Dalmatian named Penny, who's half Greyhound and half Dalmatian. I'm sure she's adorable. Welcome, Maxwell.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on the show, and I love that introduction. And I'm going to download this episode so I can steal that for my homepage.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm going to send it to you. You don't have to steal it. It's free. I'm giving it to you.
All righty.
I think that's amazing. You came from a family of carnies. You know, little boys and girls. I read Toby Tyler. I wanted to run away and join the circus. And, you know, the carnival holds just so much mystery for us, I think. You know, everybody wants to go. It's always a happy time. Families, kids are laughing. There's wonderful, you know, cotton candy and corn dogs and all kinds of wonderful foods, funnel cakes. So what was it like for you growing up in the carny world?
Well, I grew up in an entire family that was all in the same business together. So to us, it wasn't, it was just us, you know. It was a whole bunch of kids, most of us growing up at the same ages, who had family that traveled most of the year. In the summer, we would go travel, and we would get to visit all the different towns, and we would play with the kids from the towns, and we would enjoy some of the local events. When the midway wasn't busy, we'd ride the rides and sometimes eat the cotton candy or the popcorn, because back then they didn't have funnel cake yet.
Right.
Yeah. Hard to believe a carnival without funnel cake. That's that's just hard to believe if you think about it. Nowadays they've got double-decker funnel cakes.
Oh my gosh!
With ice cream on them. And it's just
crazy.
But you know, growing up, it was anybody that's in farming or ranching, or a family that's been operating the same business for several generations, understands that you learn at an early age to overcome whatever happens to be the current problem or situation. And you generally don't have all the resources that you want. A lot of times you don't have all the money that you need, but you learn at an early age to have a positive attitude and to find a way. My dad often used to say, when we would get to the next town and it was an especially difficult week, and somebody would ask us how we did it, and he would always look at them and smile and say, "What, did we have a choice?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's one of those lessons you learn if you operate your own business, is that many times if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. So you do have to get to that place where you don't have a choice. And I think,
but they do have a choice, though, Max. They have a choice to do it or not do it. And your father chose to do it. He chose to stay in the game and be unstoppable, right? He chose to do that. And a lot of times people give up because they think, oh, it's just too hard, it's too difficult. They don't understand that working for yourself and running a business can be very difficult. Like, you work harder for yourself than you would ever work for anybody else.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Japanese sayings, that a man who works for now I can't even remember, but
it'll come to you.
It'll come to me. Yeah, it'll come to me. But yes, a person who works for himself works much harder than anybody that's working at a, quote, regular job.
So what about the responsibility of being a midway owner? I mean, if something happens, an accident, one of the rides, falls, how often would something like that happen?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that while we were in the carnival business, my family, we never had a serious accident on any of our personally owned equipment. And the only accidents that happened on my family's equipment, I think the worst we ever had was a broken leg and a kid who once caught his finger in some netting on a ride that lost part of a finger.
Oh, wow.
And to have 4 different members of my family in the carnival business operating a total of 60 or 70 rides between them at one time, and the worst you ever have happen is a broken leg. And
right, that's pretty amazing.
That's an incredible record of safety, and for the most part, the traveling amusement rides are really safe. The problem is when there is an accident, it's generally headline news. So
right.
The smallest, like Recently we had the girl with the long hair get her hair ripped out up there in Kansas or Nebraska, where that was, and it was a terrible accident. But in my opinion, most of the time that person wouldn't have been allowed on that ride to start with, because it is a safety issue.
What do you say about people who talk about, the let's call it, quote unquote, the seedy underside of the carny world? Like, is it because you traveled as a family that yours might have been a little bit different because it was family owned rather than, keep hiring transients? Or did you hire a lot of transient people?
We always had to have a couple of people that we wouldn't have invited to Sunday dinner, because you just don't know everybody that you work with. For the most part, I think the bigger operations are generally have less problems. My family, we never owned more than about 7 rides at any one time for our particular show, and so we weren't under as much pressure as other people may be to hire some people. Usually, when shows hire somebody that you would think is not really all that desirable, it's usually somebody that's going to operate a game on a percentage, where they receive a percentage of whatever they take in. And as you well know, any business where people work on percentage, you never know what their incentives may be. And we have a lot of great car dealers or car salespeople, but we have a few that are not so great because
that's right.
There's the pressure of commission. And the other thing is, the more rides you have and the more new rides or newer rides you have, the more pressure there is to meet those monthly payments. So, it's just like any other business. There's always going to be a pressure to take a shortcut. Most of the people don't take those shortcuts, but the ones who do, when they get caught at it, it's a big deal. So, I hate to think about it, but up there where y'all live in Tyler, a few years ago, there was an incident with a carnival that was at Fort Hood, where some of the veterans were, to use the simple language, some of the veterans were cheated.
Right.
I'll admit that happened because it does still happen sometimes. But
Max, I'm going to stop you for a moment because we are going to go to a commercial break in just a moment, in a couple of seconds. But when we come back, I want to ask you, if it's okay, about you went blind when you were 12 years old, and maybe we can talk about that for a moment. And then I want to talk to you about your book, about how you lost all that weight. And Alex, I encourage you to jump in on that as well. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I got 2 fantastic guests. You're not going to want to miss their stories.
Oh, we're just getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
We've known for a long time that diamonds are precious, or worth a lot of doodle-roomas. That means money. Did you ever wonder how a polished pebble becomes one of the most expensive things on Earth? 2 centuries ago, diamonds were worn only by royalty. But in 1870, miners discovered huge deposits of diamonds in South Africa. And soon after, the diamond market was flooded. That's when a man named Cecil Rhodes started buying up shares of the diamond mines. 18 years later, Rhodes controlled the entire South African supply of diamonds. He started his own newspaper and magazine articles with clever ad campaigns about cut, clarity, color, and carat. He also convinced women that they weren't truly engaged to be married without a diamond ring.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's words you never heard.
The word perfume comes from the Latin perfumum, which means through smoke. Eau de Cologne comes from the name of a town in Germany where this type of perfume originated. The French say the only reason to wear perfume is to attract the opposite sex. Oh, and never ask a French woman what scent she wears, as they prefer to keep it hugger-mugger or secret. Perfumes are generally made from bits and bats of different materials that have unique scents. If women are trying to attract men, why do we wear perfume that smells like flowers? I think we'd get more guys if we smelled like bacon. The best advice for applying perfume is just a dabble do. What's a word for a trifling amount? Hitherx sans kiterax.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back. Thank you for sticking around. You're listening to Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. I'm speaking to Maxewll Ivey right now, also known as the Blind Blogger. Max just wrote his second book, and it's called It's Not the Cookie, It's the Bag. Max lost 200 or released. I'm going to say you released it because you lost it. You don't want to get it back. You released 250 pounds, which is absolutely incredibly amazing. You were in the carny business. You lost your eyesight when you were 12, Max. How did that happen?
I have retinitis pigmentosa, and it's a hereditary disease that causes a slow degeneration of your retina and can eventually lead to total blindness. And at this point, I have light perception.
Okay.
There is no cure or treatment currently, but there are some good things that are expected to come down the road in the next 2 or 3 years through gene therapy. And I recently had my DNA tested just to get it on file for any future clinical trials that might result in some improved vision or possibly complete return of my vision. Which is,
you have siblings?
I have 2 brothers, both of them younger than me, and neither of them have it. And that's the crazy thing about RP. It's kind of like a shell game disease. It sometimes skips generations. It shows itself to different degrees in different people. And
But it's male. Isn't it a male-dominated disease?
It's a male-dominated disease that's transmitted on the female side.
Right. Yeah. Because I know another guy, Michael Moore, who actually he has it, and all 5 of his brothers got it too.
Yeah, it's a roulette type of disease.
Yeah.
Because you can have it in you and never have any symptoms of it. And they say a lot of people back in the day before they knew about RP would just associate their loss of vision with getting old.
Well, you lost your eyesight, but you did go to college. You did get your degree. Did you go to the School for the Blind? Did you have to go through any of that kind of therapy?
I didn't go to the School for the Blind. I went through a local program that's operated through the University of Houston for people preparing to go to college. I had people in orientation and mobility come to my school and help with learning to use a white cane, learning Braille. So a lot of what used to be done at the School for the Blind, in my case, was done with a mainstream approach and done in my local junior high school and high school. So that was, and after graduation, I went to the Chris Cole Rehab Center in Austin to prepare for college. I have to say that slower. Everybody thinks I'm saying Crisco.
Yeah, Chris Cole.
But
it's the accent.
Yeah, maybe. I admit to having one. But I went there for the summer. I went to Austin Community College. I did graduate from Texas A&M Corpus Christi with a degree in political science. I was not able to gain admission to any law schools, so I went to the Lions World Services for the Blind training place in Arkansas. And then I went from there to a job with the Internal Revenue Service operating automated collections site in Oklahoma City.
Well, let's talk about how you lost 250 pounds. I think that's
Sure.
what people really want to know about.
Yeah. Well,
what made that decision?
Actually, I wasn't even sure I was going to make the decision. I had been trying to lose the weight on my own, and my doctor told me, she said, Max, why don't you just go to a seminar and hear what they have to say about having gastric surgery? And I went down there, and they told me that it wasn't a quick fix, that it wasn't guaranteed, that only 50% of the people who have a procedure lose 80 to 90% of the weight they want to lose. They also told me there are quite a number of people who will gain the weight back because they will cheat the surgeries. So
Which blows my mind.
Yeah, I know. But once they explained to me that I would still have to change my life and make a lot of different changes and learn a lot of new habits, once they explained that to me, then I was in, because I'm one of these people, if you tell me it's going to be easy, I'm suspicious. I'm generally not all that interested. You know, I admit to being one of those people that sometimes makes things harder than they should be. But once they told me that I would have to do some work, that it wasn't admitting failure or saying I was a quitter, then you know that solved the mental and the emotional block about having a surgery. Because surgeries have been around, 10, 20 years now. I could have had one long before when I did, but I just always thought it would be admitting failure.
Oh, really?
And,
wow. Wow. Alex, did you ever have to lose a large amount of weight?
Well, no, not really, no.
So you've never dieted?
Well, I mean, we all struggle with our weight. I think, especially as a woman, I deal with that every day. I mean, I'm not as skinny or as slim as I used to be like a few years back before I had my son. So I know what it feels like to want to drop a dress size or, 2 dress sizes, right? But not anything as drastic as, what Max had to go through, which is like cutting half of his weight. So yes, but every day, I deal with it, especially being in the industry that I'm in, your body basically is your tool. As an actor, that's your working tool. So, you're constantly...
Don't Nigerian men like women a little bit chunky?
Well, yes, you do. Actually, it's an African thing, really.
Yeah.
I think generally in Africa, they like women to have a little bit big back, backside and a little bit of curves. Exactly. And that's why people love Beyonce a lot in Africa, because like, oh my God, she's really like one of us, that kind of thing. So, yes, but even with that, pop culture seems to have a way it's sipping into the African culture as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, people are constantly care now more than they did than our parents, our moms or our grandparents cared about their body or their weight or anything like that. So you're watching, Western TV, you're watching television and so forth.
Now the girls all want to be sticks.
Exactly.
I hope not.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
But it's funny because we deal with that even as actors now. You have to worry about the camera because the camera kind of packs on like 10 pounds or something to your weight. So you're thinking,
I think I'm going to introduce Alex. Is that okay with you, Max?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's introduce her, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about both of you. Because for those who don't know her, and I don't understand why you wouldn't, Alex Akorji, she is known as the Queen of Expression. She is a multi-platform ambassador for self-empowerment and transformation. She already mentioned she's a Nigerian actress. She's a writer, a TV personality, a talk radio host, a speaker, author, podcaster, self-help mentor. And you know what? She's just too big to contain in all of these explanations. But I'm going to try to give you the highlights of her too. Over 10 years, she has been she has had professional experience as a media personality, a content creator and creative entrepreneur, and she has been very busy. She founded the Naked Movement, the Naked Bliss Academy, the Brag Club and Virtual Hub, Alex's blog community, ABC. She's also known as the host of the globally syndicated radio show, The Naked Talk with Alex, the creator of the Naked Challenge, an avid blogger at Alexandra and Her Naked Thoughts, the author of self-help book, The Naked Truth, Lies Stripped, and all things naked, I guess. No, and we don't mean her taking her clothes off. I will let her explain what it all means. But first, some of the awards and accomplishments. She won the 2015 Global Consciousness Raiser Award. She's featured Guardian Woman 2016, International Ambassador for She Matters Movement 2016, RB Magazine Blogger of the Month, Spring 2015, Idea Builders, Women Mentoring Women Mentor 2016 award. And I mean, man, what hasn't she done and who hasn't she impressed? Honestly, but she's about to embark on a huge project that both Max and I are a part of, and I'm going to let her take it away for a moment. Alex, the stage is yours.
You know what, Frankie? I was just getting dizzy. Like, I felt like I wanted to run. I was just getting dizzy from listening to all of them. Like, really? Is that me? Like, no, I'm usually on the other side, so it feels a little weird, just having someone have to reel out all of that. But thank you so much for that really great introduction, Frankie. And you, by the way, are, so accomplished, and you're an achiever, and so.
Well, thank you. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about you. Accept it. Own it.
Well, I like to, I'm not very great with compliments, but thank you so much. But back to what you said, you talked about, this event or this, should I call it an event? An event that, you and Maxwell are part of, and that's the Naked Challenge. And I'm very excited, more than honored, really, to have both of you just be part of this. And you both are speakers along 23 other speakers. So yes, there are 25 speakers for the Naked Challenge Creative Mastery Global Summit, which is coming up next week, starting from the 4th of July to Saturday, 9th of July. And I'm so excited, really, because this is a great opportunity to be able to sort of get a lot of people moving from the back burners to the spotlight and helping people to achieve all of the goals that they want to achieve for the next half of the year. So this is really exciting.
I have to say you've blown my mind with this summit, okay? Not only just organizing it as quickly as you did, but all of the graphics, the web, the the social media. This is all you, Alex. I mean, you're a one-woman, tornado of a show. Like unbelievable. Don't you think, Maxwell? All the stuff she's put out and
yeah, it's amazing what she's done, and she's pretty much doing it by herself because whoever she used to have that was working with her on this stuff is not working with her anymore. So,
wow.
I don't know when she sleeps. I honestly don't know. I mean, people sometimes ask me if I ever sleep, and I always tell them yes, just not at not 8 hours in a stretch most of the time. But
yeah, me neither.
But
wow.
I tell you, when you were introducing Alex, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, do I belong on this radio show? And then I said, okay, yes, you do. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're all helping people. We're all trying to change the world, and I think that when I brought up the UN, ending poverty is really, if we lack the desire in our head, or if we think that, oh, poor me, we're not going to get ahead. We need to inspire people. They need to accept it, just like Alex needed to accept those compliments, because it is what she has done. It's the truth, nothing more, nothing less, and it's inspiring to other people. Both of you are very inspiring. Who loses 250 pounds? My goodness. Like, that's an incredible achievement. Absolutely. And Alex, your generosity in, helping people get on the BLAB and helping people figure this out and giving away this and giving away that. People are blown away by that. Like, your patience is of a saint. It really is. But we got 30 seconds before we go to another commercial break. And tease us a little bit, Al. Tease us a little bit before we go. What would you like? What are you going to tell us when we come back? Something really amazing and inspiring.
I was going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I was actually going to talk about Maxwell because he said something and I kind of needed to pitch in that year. Maxwell is one of the most inspiring people that I personally have met. And he's
okay, well, we're going to stop you because we're going to a break. Do not go away. Something important is going to be said.
Cents and more. We'll be right back after we pay the bills.
Reaching out from the heartland of the United States with quality programming, this is TogiNet Radio.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
Do you ever wonder if you're the only woman who runs errands in her yoga pants so it will look like she went to the gym? Or how about the only mom who feeds her kids raw cookie dough? Or are you the only one who cooks her family cold cereal for dinner? Do you need more laughter and less loudness? More self-love and less self-loathing? More joy and less judgment? You're not alone. Come to the living room, a place where we get comfy, candid, and confident together. Come seeking sanctuary and leave feeling renewed. We're saving a seat for you. Give yourself some living room today.
we're back. You're listening to Frankie Sense and More. I'm here with my friends Max and Alex. Okay, Alex, you were going to tell us something about Max that you wanted us to know before we went to our break.
You know what? I was just, he made a comment. He said something about questioning whether he, deserved to be on the show. And I was going to say why. Yeah, and I was going to say why not.
Exactly.
He's one of the most, one of the most inspiring people that I personally have met. And I just feel like my life has been blessed, just coming across him and his person. And he shows you that, anything, you can make anything happen. Yeah. And I feel like I can't have any excuses anymore when I'm around Max. And he's become one of my really, good friends. Just it's funny how he's all the way in Texas, in the U.S., I'm in Nigeria, in Africa, but somehow we try to stay in touch and, I'm up to speed with what he's doing. So he's an amazing person. He's an amazing achiever in so many ways. I mean, he's blind, but he's the author of 2 books. So I think that is, really, really, really super amazing, where people could have, might have excuses for why they cannot do the things that, he's done. He's been able to, do them. And so I think that he definitely, more than anything, deserves to be here. So, and I'm honored just to be sharing the same space with him and you, of course.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. When I said that, I was basically making a comment on comparison.
I know.
If you compare yourself to other people, you might start to doubt your own specialness. And
that's right.
I did say, after listening to that introduction, it would be easy to wonder, do I belong on the show? But then I go, hell yeah, I belong on this show. So
for sure you do.
And that you were talking about the weight loss. One of the biggest things that I had to become accustomed with the weight was the fact that I'm not physically the same person I was, and going from being the fat person to being somebody that people say, you look good, you look handsome, you look sexy, you look even when they say you look hot, these are words that you have to learn to accept and to own, as you put it.
Right.
Sure.
And until you do own them, you're a perfect target for backsliding and for ending up right back where you started. So, and I think that that is a big. Alex was talking about the video images that are starting to seep into the culture from the U.S. and other places.
Right.
So body image and just accepting the fact that you are good looking, that you're sexy, that you're a good person, but accepting that and believing it in your heart is a big step if you're going to lose the weight and keep it off.
Well, one of the things that I know from being a coach for the last so many years is really people who give have a very difficult time accepting. Givers, like to give. It's a comfortable place to be, but they do not like to receive. And so it's one thing that they really need to learn how to do is to accept the compliments and the acknowledgments. Acknowledgments more than compliments, because I think acknowledgments are a little more sincere than a compliment that people give them, because it comes from a place, in somebody else's heart where they really feel that they need to offer that. And so it's a gift. And so you say thank you. If you can't say anything else, you just say thank you, and take it, and away you go. So give us a couple of the 5 tips. Let's say 5 tips, Max, about losing the weight. Like you did have the gastric surgery, which is, for some people extreme. But I'm going to give you kudos here, because before the surgery, you managed to lose like 84 pounds on your own, even before you had your surgery. So that is not an easy task. I know, because I lost 100 pounds after I gave birth to twins, and it took me 2 years and doing Jane Fonda twice a day. I can't do that now, but I still need to lose some weight. So tell us some of your tips.
Well, I would say one thing for most people is that with their exercise, to me, it doesn't matter how long you do it or what you do. It's about being active. So for some people who have not done anything in years, if they just put on their shoes and stretch for 5 minutes every day, they're going to make an impact. It won't be a big impact. But I'm one of these people who I believe that it's those small first steps that eventually lead to a big accomplishment. I don't know a single marathon runner who started out running 10 miles a day, 3 days a week.
Exactly.
Sure.
So that's
So 5 minutes
some sort of
to 10 minutes, and so on.
Exactly. At one point I couldn't walk. At one point we had to park our truck next to the elevator in the parking garage because I couldn't walk from the back end of the parking lot to the elevator. Mm-hmm. Now we almost run from where we park our car across from the one building over to the other building, and it's about a quarter of a mile or so. And when I get there, I'm not winded. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really.
So
good accomplishment.
any form of activity, no matter how small, is a beginning that can lead you to more exercise. And I tell people, if there's something you hate doing, if there's no way around doing it, do it for 5 minutes. Tell yourself 5 minutes. If you can get 5 minutes, then unless you set a timer to tell you to stop, the odds are you'll go 7 or 10 or 15. Because it's,
you know what? I always do the stuff I hate to do first.
Else.
Yeah. I do things I don't like first to get them out of the way, and then it's done. And then you get to have the cherry on top of the dessert, right, after?
Exactly. Well, the research says that the earlier you start trying to do something in your day, whether you like it or don't like it, the earlier you start trying to do it, the more likely you are to accomplish it before the end of the day.
Well, I don't like try. Trying is lying in my book. You commit.
Well, I
don't want to do something, you have to commit. Yeah, because trying gives you a back door out. It says that you may or may not be wholeheartedly in on this activity. You commit to doing it, and things are going to get done. You committed to losing that weight, and Alex.
If I can come in here, I'm sorry, Frankie. There's something because I've read portions of the book actually, and I just wanted to sort of chip in something that really caught my attention about the book. And even though this book is a weight loss book, focused on that, it also takes there are lots of tips on mindset and behavior and just mental, how you sort of deal with accomplishing your goal. Yes, your goal might be to lose some weight, but it could also be something else. And if there's something I remember that he made reference, and I even had to do a blog post from a chapter of his book on my blog, it was something about just having the right support system. That you have a great team or a great you just have somebody who's a team player or teammate or support system, or a community of people who are supporting you to actually achieve that goal. So it's pretty much like, if you were trying to work out by yourself, it's pretty difficult. And I know this because my mom had a fitness club that I managed for years. And I actually used to teach Pilates. I used to teach Pilates in the class. So I know how hard it is to just have someone come in or want to use the gym or whatever it is by themselves. There's not enough, even no matter how motivated you are, there's just not enough motivation, but there's nothing like having somebody cheering you or people cheering you or having people to work out with. But to do that, if you're going to a spinning class and then you had 2-3 other women who, just you could chat with while you're riding your bikes, or you could do whatever it is, or even if it's just a brother or a friend or someone who would just go that extra mile to jog with you or walk with you or whatever it is, just having people support you really also helps.
That's how those professional athletes, they all have a coach. They've all got somebody who's, in their corner.
Exactly. Just telling them that you can do this, you can go, you can do it, you have to, you still have, because there are times when you don't feel like really doing anything.
No.
And so I remember, when I used to do sit-ups, I remember back, this was before I had my son, and I started with doing just 50 crunches, and then it got to a time that I was actually doing 600 a day.
Wow.
So, and I remember I used to have 8 packs of my body. It was great then. Not anymore. It was, so good. But it was because that I had this, trainer who would always tell me, even when I had one set left, she's always like, Alex, you have to finish this. You have to go. You have to. And there was always something right there. So it's always great to have people in our corner, whether it is just supporting us. Even with, for example, the summit that I'm doing, it's nice to sometimes, get feedback from you or Max or any of the other speakers telling you, oh, you're doing great. I love what you're doing. You just feel like, okay, you don't want to disappoint them and you just want to keep going. So I think
you
that
really
it's
are
really
doing a phenomenal job. But I think you're right too about, we hit a wall, and most people the average person hits that wall and they go, okay, I'm done. But when you have a coach or a trainer or people in your corner, people who want to see you succeed, it's like, come on, 5 more. You can do 5 more. And you're going to do those, even though you've hit the wall. You're going to do them because you don't want to disappoint them or whatever it is. So it shows us, coaches, that each of us has a reserve inside us that, you know, we got way more than we give ourselves credit for. But it's in our head, that poverty in our head almost, that says, I can give up. No. That's poor spirit.
Exactly.
You still got more reserve in there, baby. More gas in the tank.
Exactly.
And I was lucky to have Alex and about 7 other really close friends who would read my chapters of this book, It's Not the Cookie, It's the Bag, as I was writing it. Mm-hmm. And so each chapter I had more feedback and more encouragement that helped me keep pushing on to finish the book. And that's so what Alex was saying about the book having, being about weight loss, but that it could be applied to just about anything else you're doing. A lot of it could be, because a lot of it is about mindset, affirmations, meditation, things that will help you regardless of whether you're wanting to lose weight or whether you're starting a blog.
And I really liked your definition of meditation, because I'm like you, Max. I'm one of those people that can't just sit there and go, and meditate. That's not my form of meditation. I need to move or drive a car. That's when I meditate. That's when I get my creative downloads.
That's when
you're
my
in the
dad
shower.
meditated. When he was behind the wheel of a truck, that's when he meditated. So I totally get that. And
we all have a special thing, but to ask me to sit still is really difficult. I'm sure it's very difficult for Alex. She can't sit still.
I'm just like you, Frankie.
And the other thing is people get ideas into their head about what meditation requires, and instead of just finding a way to focus and concentrate on their body and their breathing and clear their minds, they're worried about the when, where, and how aspects that have nothing to do with whether or not meditation is successful for you.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they worry that, am I doing it right? Is it working? It's working when you are, receiving. I always say receiving, because I like to think that I'm channeling information from the universe. But we're going to go to a commercial break. We got 30 seconds before we do that. And when we come back, what do you guys want to talk about? That's okay. I can't have that.
That segment there's got to go on your reel.
For sure. It's live. I don't edit anything out. Okay, folks, stick around. Stay tuned. Coming back.
Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of an adorable, soft, cuddly, sweet-smelling, smiling, cooing, hungry, tired, gassy, screaming little bundle of joy. So now what? Where's the owner's manual for this thing? Where are my instructions? Right here. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com. Infant care specialist Blythe Lipman has worked with babies for over 20 years and works extensively with new parents, providing workshops, in-home visits, tips, and daily phone calls to ease those frazzled nerves. With Baby and Toddler Instructions, you can get the advice you need on how to survive and enjoy your baby's first year. For more information on Blythe and how she can help you, go to babyinstructions.com. From 32 ways to stop a baby from crying to 14 ways to get a baby to eat and so much more. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
A common food myth is that bread will make you fat. The truth is quite the opposite. If you eat the right kinds of breads and other grains, you can actually lose weight. The fiber found in whole grain foods helps slow digestion, keeping you fuller longer. True whole grain bread products will have whole grain or whole wheat flour as the first ingredient. If you see anything else, it is not what you want to eat, even though it may say wheat. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that overweight people who acquired all of their grain servings from whole grains lost more belly fat than those who skipped the whole grains. You should still avoid refined grains like enriched flour, but a moderate amount of whole grain bread can be a great asset to a balanced diet. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond.
Okay, and we are back. You're back listening to Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. My two guests here, Maxewell Ivey, Alex Okoroji. I am really excited because tomorrow is Canada Day. I live in Canada, and it's like the 4th of July in the U.S., but it's Canada Day. Woo! Red, white. So I'm excited because, after the show, it's a holiday for me. I'm on holiday time. But we are going to talk about getting naked because Alex is here and she's, the queen of naked. And let's talk about the naked, all the challenges, because Alex was a little bit worried, she likes to be different. She likes Max, we're going to hug him and bring him in and all that stuff, which we're doing because being naked is really, it's really about getting real, getting down with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, then you can have those conversations about change and transformation that, we were talking about with Max, that, when you meditate, you talk about those things with yourself. But if you're not honest, and even in his book, he talked about, you can say that maybe you had an extra cookie or two, but when you really ate the whole bag, you can't really lie and say you only had one extra cookie and you don't know why you didn't lose weight. That's not being naked with yourself. So, Alex, talk to us about your naked thoughts.
You know what? And it's funny, but Max was really naked in his book, and which is why I just felt like it would be a travesty, just leaving the show without just talking about how important it is for us to really just be honest and be transparent and just be, reveal, show ourselves, just present ourselves the way that we really are and be accepting of our flaws, our weaknesses, and just all the other things that we need to be able to sort of transform ourselves. Now, if Max didn't accept that he needed to cut that weight or he needed to make some sort of health changes, he probably wouldn't have made the progress that he made. So it's really important. A lot of us are living in, we're all living in, majority of people are living in denial. You're not accepting of the fact. Even when you talked about poverty, there are people who actually really live on earth who don't know that there are countries or people who are living in abject poverty.
Right.
So it's, and when you waste food or you waste money or you waste, just resources or whatever it is, and there are people who do anything to have what you have, you start to realize that you need to be grateful and just show gratitude for the things that you have. So it's really important that we are sort of present in accepting really that, we're not perfect. Perfection is a myth. I mean, even with Max, he made her cut that weight, but he still has to go through just sort of maintaining that. He has to still watch what he eats. He has to exercise. He still has to do a lot of things to be able to keep that. So it's, we have to understand that perfection. He didn't drop 250 and think, oh, now I'm great. I'm perfect. I don't have to do anything anymore. He's accepted of the fact that, there might still be a little folds here and there or whatever it is, but you're also accepting of the fact that, perfection is a myth, and we all have weaknesses and we're flawed and blah, blah, blah.
But you know what, Alex, even though he's lost that 250 pounds, and I know a lot of people have lost a lot of weight, they're inside their head, they're still a fat person. Their thoughts are still fat thoughts. They still see a fat person in a mirror. And, I know it happened to me when I lost 100 pounds, and people go, oh my God, you're so skinny. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they thought, oh, she's just saying that so they'll go, you're really skinny again. But I wasn't. I was not seeing a skinny person, even though all that weight had been dropped. So your thoughts have to change. More, your weight, your body, physical, everything has to catch up at some point, right?
Yes, exactly.
You have to make that shift in your head. You have to go from being the failure to being a success, from being the fat person to being a skinny or at least a healthy person.
Right.
And that's true in so many ways. Just to borrow something from what Max said. We're putting together this summit, and I know that initially some people were like, oh, what is the Naked Summit? Like, what is the Naked Challenge? And they were confused or worried, like, oh my goodness, are we going to get naked?
Are we really going to get naked? Yes.
Are we going to stream or whatever it is? But, while I was I remember talking to one of the speakers, Mara Sweeney, and she's like, you know what, I think I get it now. It's really, let's strip the cover, the Max, let's reveal ourselves. And there's so many people who are gifted, so many people who are talented, so many people who have what it takes to be great, but they're so afraid of revealing the star. They're so afraid of the spotlight. They're all in the back burner, sitting in their comfort zone, and they're, and their limiting beliefs and being covered up by all the lies that they've been told that they'll be nothing, right? And so it's up to people like us who have been able to sort of push ourselves beyond those limits to be able to hold their hands and bring them out and say, hey, I can show you how to do the same. I can show you how to come out of the back burners or out of the curtains or out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And come out. And here's something that's amazing. I'm African. I'm all the way in Nigeria and Africa, but I'm on a show that's been broadcast, all over the world. And you're in Canada, and Max is in, Texas. And that would, the radio station is, and that would never have been something really possible, or that would never have been something that, the average Nigerian or African would think of. That, I can step out of my little cocoon or my little box,
right?
And just get out to the world. So every day we're trying to show people how they can expand, not only, they can expand their goals, they can expand their vision, but they can also expand their wings. I mean, if you, what if you had wings? I mean, you have wings, but you just don't know it. So how can you get out there and just reveal who you really are and all the amazing gifts and talents that you have? So, that's really what being naked. It's really about embracing all the things that are inside and stripping the cover off so that everyone just sees you for, what you are.
And what a relief to be you, isn't it? Because you don't have to put up, there's no more facade, there's no more, pretense or pretentiousness or anything like that. You just be you. And then when people like you, they like you. They like you for you. And it's just great.
I'm telling you what, Frankie, yes,
it's a
relief. Is a relief. And I can tell you this, I lived my life for so many years, just trying to live up to society's expectations of who I was supposed to be. And not until I started getting naked like 2 years ago, right? I just feel so comfortable. I don't really, I'm not living anymore for anybody's approval. Like, I'm me. And if someone says they like something I did, I know it's true. It's not because I was trying to pretend to be that person or be, now any compliment I get, I know it's true. So, I remember living, especially being an actor, and constantly being in the spotlight, and there are expectations of how you're supposed to behave and how you're supposed to be and act, and everyone's looking at you, and exactly, and your life is in in the open. If you get a divorce, the entire world knows. If you hang out with someone, everybody knows. It's crazy, and you start to hate yourself. Because really, you don't want to even read the comments. People are judging you. People are, and they don't even know who you are.
They don't even know you.
They don't know you. They don't know the life that you have to lead. They don't understand the challenges or the things that you have to deal with. But you start to realize that when the moment I stopped worrying about, perception, just living up to people's expectations and living, a particular standard that people expected, and just being me. This is me, and I'm presenting myself the way I am, then everything just became so much easier. Like, it was just
Max said something in his book. Max said something in his book about, his mom saying that he's got a bald spot, and he goes, well, who cares? I'm 6'4" unless they're sitting on a ladder. They don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, right.
Well, I mentioned that because I thought it was important for people to know that this advice isn't coming from somebody who's perfect. I'm relatively healthy, and I'm happy with my body, and that's a point where you got to get to. But when you were talking there about maintaining these images and facades, I'm like, as you get older, you start to lose some of your memory, and it gets to the point where it just takes too much effort to remember all those stories you're telling people. It's a whole lot less draining just to tell the truth, be who you are. If they like you, fine. If they don't like you, fine. I went out without
makeup today. I would never. A year ago, I would never have gone out without makeup on. Now, I just turned 59. I don't care.
I
wish I could give you some applause, because that takes a lot of courage for a woman of any age.
I think you're. No, I know that because that it takes a lot of confidence, just to be able to do that, and that's something that I've learned to do myself as well. I'm not as old as you are, but I also realize that I don't have to always cover myself. I don't have to always present myself as a celebrity or as this or as that. I'm comfortable in my own skin. If I wake up and I don't feel like wearing makeup, I won't wear makeup. If I feel like, I've just realized that it's just too much. Like, people, those who love you anyway. Those who don't, want, no matter what you have, no matter what you do. So, you're more concerned about the other 30% in the middle that you can still swing. But even in that, I think just being who you are is enough.
That's a good message. Being who you are is enough. I like that. I had a really weird thought today. I was out this morning and I passed a cemetery, and I was looking at all the headstones as I was driving by, and I thought, wow, we're very fortunate to be here in this time. And I do believe in reincarnation because I'm a metaphysical hypnotherapist. But I thought, how extraordinary to be here in this time. Can you imagine being the first human beings, the ones who didn't have fire, the ones who didn't have a stove or a bathroom or a toilet or anything like that, even, 100 years ago? Wow, how fortunate are we? Like, how come we got to be the cushy human beings and come at this time rather than the ones who had to work really hard and cut through forests and be the pioneers. I mean, it's crazy when you think like that, don't you think?
Well, I don't have to imagine that because I can remember about 5 or 6 years ago when I was still traveling with a carnival, when 2 or 3 days a week we might not have water, sewer, or electricity.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just going to say the same thing. In Nigeria, having mobile phones and internet is pretty much like 15 years old. It wasn't that long ago. So you know what it is not to have all of the the comfort or just the technology that you have now that is making life easier. I mean, if I had to be on your show, I probably have to fly take a flight all the way to Canada or wherever the station is just so I could be on air. Yes. And now with technology and everything, it's a lot
pretty incredible. Very quickly, we've got less than, we might have a minute. Both of you, give us your web IDs. Alex, you start.
Okay. My website is www.alexokoroji.me, me as in M-E.
Okay.
So yes, you can find me.
And mine is www.theblindblogger.net.
.net.
And
okay.
If they look for Maxewell Ivey or the Blind Blogger in Google or YouTube, they will find me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me thank both of you so much for coming on the show today. I had a blast with you. It was a lot of fun. And I'm sure that those who are listening had a lot of fun too. And I can't wait for next week for the Naked, for the summit and the challenge and for bringing all of these creative types and helping to inspire them and change their lives. So thank you both. And thank you, Ben, for producing the show.
Thank you so much for having both of us on, and thank you too, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Take care wherever you are in the world. I will see you I will see you next week. Bye. Okay. Here we go. Tunes out.
Siege on the beat. Hit Rash Production.
She not you, she the one way to turn the world.